Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me today on Self-Love Lifestyles. This, of course, is why you're here, right? You are here to remember more about self-love and heart shifting than other aspects of life that would have you distracted and lead you astray. So today we're talking about cultivating the self-love lifestyle, but taking a look at how perfectionism affects that. So the first thing, of course, that we need to do is to, once again, really be very clear about what self-love is and why we want to create a self-love lifestyle. Self-love is the journey through which we are accepting that we are divine beings. There, I said it. I know a lot of people are very confused about self-care and self-love. And if that's still your case, and I know that we've, had a number of people join us since our last workshop, but I'd like to move forward from there and just invite you to take a look at the video where I talk about the differences between self-care and self-love so that you can really orient yourself towards what it is that we are talking about when we talk about a self-love lifestyle. So having said that, self-care is everything that you do that brings comfort to you. Okay, so let's just put that aside for a moment. Self-love, as I said a moment ago, is the journey where you come to a place of accepting that you are a divine being. You are here to create because you are a divine being. In fact, you are here to create with the energy of love, which is the fiber that has created all things in the universe, including you. What that means is that it's very accessible to you because it is at the very core of your being. You have full access to this energy of love. Now, if this is sounding a little lofty to you, just bear with me for a moment and let's just keep diving deeper, because as we do, it expands our awareness and we can take our level of understanding to a much higher frequency. It's like taking that hike up the side of a mountain, okay? We are looking at all the ways that we can make that journey as less treacherous as possible. Sometimes self-care comes into the journey, because what self-care does is it softens us, right? It softens our connection to our heart, which is essential, and to ourselves. So self-care is a very good thing. Self-love, as I've said many times before, is going to take you out of your comfort zone. It has to. Because each and every one of us have been programmed according to the desires by other people, your families, societies, cultures, religions, whatever the dogma of the day was, whatever the criteria was, whatever the stipulations were for your acceptability. And in truth, it changes all the time, doesn't it? If we look back at the criteria for being an acceptable person a decade ago, we would see that it would be very different than what it is now. So what that means is that we have to remain flexible. Flexible not only in our beliefs, but flexible in what we are experiencing. If you were holding true to the criteria for what made you acceptable in society's eyes a decade ago, you would be experiencing a tremendous amount of angst because that criteria is no longer present. And the angst would come from you feeling unsupported, having invested so much time and effort, and of course, listening, right? Taking the advice of all of your caregivers who worked very hard to tell you what was acceptable and what wasn't. You would find yourself almost like Jonah being spit out of the whale's mouth and wondering, what the heck happened to me? What planet have I landed on? So, this flexibility is something that is absolutely essential for our happiness, for our health, for our sense of well being, and for our ability to connect to our wholeness, which is what we're talking about today. We're talking about self love becoming not just one act, but becoming a lifestyle. Here's the difference. If you have worked with me previously or have had other experiences where you've listened to my work, you know that I will often say to someone, well done. That was a great act of self-love. The issue is that your work's not over. One act of self-love does not create a vibrational frequency. Self-love is a frequency all of its own. And the frequency of self-love, get ready for this, it opens the doors for you to be able to access everything that's important to you. I know so many of you want to know and often ask me, well, how do I know what my soul's purpose is? Why am I here? How can I find this out? The issue is that there's only one path to that, and the path is through self-love. You see, this vibrational frequency of self-love is a very high frequency. Just think about it. If I'm saying to you that it is your journey to discovering, to accepting that you are a divine being, what that means is that self-love is a high vibrational frequency in harmony with being a divine being. That's high. In that place, you have access to everything. You have access to anything. In that place, you're already in your purpose, because your purpose is to embody that divinity. You are the body that divinity is utilizing right here and right now for experiencing this beautiful world that we live in. So having said that, we have to start to reorient ourselves about self-love. Now here's what's so interesting. You, along with hundreds of others that have been curious about self-love, that have the same inquiry, what is self-love, have been brought here. But you haven't been brought here by the thought. You have been brought here because you have recognized a void. You've recognized that there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. And what keeps coming back to you over and over and over again are how many choices that you've made, how many decisions that you've made from a place other than loving yourself, from a place of trying to live up to somebody else's criteria of you, trying to live up to somebody else's expectations of you, trying to live up to what somebody else has determined you should be, how you should act, what you should eat, what you should look like. That's what brought you here. You came here out of pain and suffering, knowing that you're stuck in limbo in that place between where you are and where you want to be. And if I could go further to say, where you already know that you need to be. You see, all of this is already hardwired within us. We were created simply to be this vehicle for the divine, the consciousness of God, for love, to utilize who we are to partner with us to create a wonderful world filled with all of your heart's desires having been brought to life. You see, we all want the same thing. It just gets distorted in the message because we are bombarded by so much media and so much confusion about what it is that should really be important to us. At the end of the day, the only thing that's important is that you recognize who you really are and take actions in accordance with that so that you can start to create a lifestyle and a world as an extension of that lifestyle that really is for the benefit of all. So today I said that I wanted to talk about perfectionism. Last time, we spoke about how this affects our ability to be confident in somebody else's eyes. And I talked about how essential it is that we actually forgive ourselves for not being perfect in somebody else's eyes. Today, I want to talk about forgiving ourselves for not being perfect in our own eyes. What that means is that we've lost sight about who we really are. We've lost sight of our truth, of our divinity, and our birthright to be living in this world full on, switched on, totally connected to our purpose as a soul, as a particle of that divine consciousness, but also having given up our birthright of remembering that we are the creative energy of our lives, of this world, of all universes. So until we begin to actually accept that that is who we are, let go of all of those other images, let go of all of the other distortions, all of the other pages and pages, film after film after film of criteria about who we should be and what this world is about. And we come back home to our hearts. Only then do we start to experience ourselves as the powerful beings that we are. You see, every time that you give in to this image of perfectionism, you will always fall short. Remember, as I did the comparison between 1 decade ago and now, how that criteria would have changed? That criteria changed yesterday also. In other words, it is constantly changing. Because if you are trying to live up to somebody else's expectations, those expectations are based upon what they need from you. And as they grow, as they experience other things, what they want and need from you are going to change. So how can you possibly keep up with that? You can't. And so Cultivating a self-love lifestyle is also forgiving yourself for ever believing that you weren't perfect in the first place. The only issue was you weren't being you. The authentic you, the true you. You lost your way. And I want you to know, I was there myself. I lost my way. I forgot who I was. In that forgetting, I suffered terribly. I acquiesced my power to all those who had expectations of me. I acquiesced my power, my ability to create a world where my heart's desires came to life. When I acquiesced that power, I was imprisoned. I was subjugated by the dreams of others. And this is what happens to you too. And so your dreams get further and further and further away from you. And then you try to justify to yourself why somebody else's dreams just must be more important, or they must be right and you were wrong, or there must be something wrong with you that you're not happy with it. That's the perfection of the ego. It always has you attacking yourself. And what I want you to know is that as long as you are acquiescing your power to be you and holding on to this obscure image of perfection, not only can you never love yourself, but you will never feel like you are lovable. Ooh. What comes along with that? What comes along with that is what we'll talk about next time. What comes along with you believing that you're not lovable? So for those of you who are here and watching this video, I want you to know how essential it is that you really embrace this principle. This perfectionism that you hold yourself to is so toxic because it takes you further and further away from you. Whew! It's a biggie. So with that, I'm going to leave you with this affirmation. And by the way, these affirmations that I give you both in Manifestation Mondays and Self-Love Tuesdays, my recommendation is that you repeat them to yourself at least twice a day. In the morning when you wake up, take some nice deep breaths deep into your belly. Celebrate the day through your breath. And repeat these words. Repeat them again before you go to sleep at night and let it marinate within you. I am already perfect in the eyes of that which has created me. In the eyes of love. I am already perfect in the eyes of that which has created me. In the eyes of love. So I'm going to leave you with that and let you know that I love you and I'm so grateful for you being here. We're on this journey together. Please leave your comments below. Let me know. Did this really strike a chord in you? Let me know. Did this resonate? And then let me know the next choice that you will make that will be aligned with you reclaiming you. So much love to you. See you again next week. Bye-bye now.